Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? This is Peter at the Shalom Peace, and today I'm gonna finish my study on the Ten Commandments. I recorded the first tablet study previously, and now I'm gonna do the second tablet, which includes Commandments 6 through 10. They're pretty straightforward. A bunch of them are one-liners, but you'll see we can get a lot of information just from these few short words that are so very important and have guided excellent societies since the beginning of this Mount Sinai, the giving of the Ten Commandments to Moses and the people of Israel, and how they delivered them to the rest of the world. With no further delay, let's just get right to Commandment 6. It's the first one on the second tablet, and Lo Tirutzach, so you shall not kill. This is the first commandment on the second tablet. It corresponds with the first commandment on the first tablet, as Elohime is the creator and sustainer of life. So to take someone's life is an act reserved to the creator. Other actions that would be considered acts of murder that we can derived from this commandment are, other than the literal interpretation, are causing someone significant embarrassment, failing to provide food and safety in your community for someone who cannot care for themselves, or causing someone to lose their livelihood. So we see a very broad definition that can be taken from the literal strict commandment. Also, we shouldn't mistake this commandment to not saying that we cannot defend ourselves against tyranny, the immoral actions of the less moral, the people who wanted to, disrupt whatever excellence we have achieved through living a moral life through these codes that Jehovah has given us. And so we can defend ourselves, and if that means to meet force with greater force to defend these principles, these guidelines, these laws, that does not include. It does not mean that we've committed murder, which is really, it should say, murder being something premeditated, something that was done illicitly. And so anyways, I think that's a good coverage of the first one. We could study this one for a long time, but let's move on and keep making progress. Exodus chapter 20:13 was the first on that tablet, and now the second commandment: you shall not commit adultery. Lo tanuf, you shall not commit adultery. Now, adultery is actually a legal term for a contract. So this is referring directly to a marriage contract. This is not, I don't believe we should be applying this to all kinds of other things. If there's no marriage contract, there's no actual legal basis. And let me explain that to you. I'm going to refer to Deuteronomy 24 to make the point. Deuteronomy 24 verse 1, it kind of spells out adultery a little bit better. 24:1, if a man takes a wife, Eisha u veila, so, and is intimate with her. Actually, that's the word for becoming a husband. If he becomes a husband with her, lo and it will be that if she will not find favor be'eniv, in his eyes, for he found in her an immoral matter. Ki vo arvods dover. So there's something that's gone wrong morally in this relationship, and it's from her side. And he wrote for her a bill of divorce. So he writes her a bill of divorce because of the immoral matter that took place, and placed it in her hand and sent her from his house. And then she went out from his house, and she went And she married, it says, it says it incorrectly. It should not say, and she marries, because the Torah actually doesn't acknowledge the second guy as a marriage. And I'll show you why. So, and then she went out from his house, and she went, that's actually, to literally translate that word, instead of she married, it would actually be, and then happens another man. So she gets the bill of divorce, and then she goes out from her ex's house, and she went, and then happens another man, not and she marries another man. The Torah doesn't actually legitimize the second marriage. And we'll go on and I'll prove that a little more. And Hater did the latter man. See, it still doesn't even call him a husband. It calls him a latter man. V'yishna Eisha, Ha'echron, and did the latter man, and he wrote her a bill of divorce. V'yechitzev Sefer Kurtzuz. So, in what is not even considered a legal matter, he still writes a bill of divorce, which is, still kind of, it's just under their own law at that point, and placed it into her hand and sent her from his house. V'neitzen beitza v'shlechuv mevezuv, or if should die, or chi yemus, the latter man, still not a husband. It's not listed. The word husband is not there. It's just a latter man, some guy who came along. Okay, who took her from for him as a wife. Lo leisha. Then not basically Yeshul Abel beyola ha'aroshan. So Abel was the first husband. The first husband now is still not Abel, who divorced her, Eisher Shelachuv Leishuv, to divorce her, to return, basically, literally Leshuv, to return, take her Lechechza Lehutz, to take her, for her to be to him as a wife. Lo Leisha, as a result of the fact that she had been defiled, that she had been defiled for an abomination. It is before. So it's an abomination, actually, to be switching back and forth this wife. It is before Hu Lepeni Yehovah. Do not fill this, and this is really important right here. Do not fill with sin the land. V'ila techetze et haaretz, that Hashem your God gives you to as an inheritance. So we see that adultery is actually tied into cursing the land. It's filling it with sin. So this is a really important designation, this whole matter. A second marriage is not even acknowledged in the Torah. The adultery is considered filling the land with sin, and based on what I know in the Torah, that's because a woman is very much tied to the earth, and so to double sow that earth is an abomination. Okay, all right. You shall not steal. Lo tegrenub. The obvious commandment regards civil rights, but also should be a guide for proper moral behavior related to theft. Okay? Attempting in order to win someone's favor or regard through deceit is a form of theft. Tricking someone, lying, or falsifying information to gain someone else's possessions or valuables, whether that's physical or intellectual property, including even if it's a personal property or community property. This stealing is prohibited in the 8th commandment. It's not just, you can't go rob a liquor store. No, it's, you can't have this moral behavior that is theft in your heart. It starts there. All right, here we go. 9th commandment. This one actually happens way more often than we think. You shall not testify against your fellow a testimony that is false. Okay, lo tzina be'aracha and shecher. So actually, shecher actually kind of reminds me of the word. It's like defiled, like it's shecher. It's this is false. Like you've polluted the truth in this place. Okay, you shall not testify against your fellow testimony that is false. When someone is convinced something happened that they did not actually see, and they give testimony against someone who now is a defendant in public or private. Let's say it could be in court or it could be in your privacy of your own home. You're giving testimony, you didn't see this thing happen. And not only that, but your testimony could result in their personal or social damage to this now defendant, right? This is also like murder, for it reduces his livelihood. So false testimony is very damaging. We are supposed to have true words. We're supposed to be able to verify what we say. And this is something I'm sure every one of us can always, strive closer to. It's called the word of truth, is what I kind of dubbed it. All right. The last one is, I just love this one. You shall not covet. Lo t'chmed beitz roecha. So you shall not covet the house of your fellow. And you shall not covet lo t'chmed Ashes, basically the wife, roecha, of your fellow, his slave, his manservant, basically is his. It shouldn't be. I don't believe it should be even translated slave. It should be his servant, aved, serve, ve'avedu, his. Let's say is someone who works for him. So I'm not sure why they put it like that, but I love reintroducing. Translation. V'avedu. So that's the word for servant. You should not covet even the wife or the servant. V'aimitzu, the maid servant, his ox, his donkey, or anything that belongs to your fellow. V'yeshuru, v'chlimru, v'chayel esher, l'rocha. So you should not covet things of your neighbor. Listen to this, though. We have some definitions here that are really important, and I've been wanting to share this for a long time. The 10th Commandment, one who covets something that is not his, it demonstrates a lack of faith in Yah. This is a lack of faith if you start coveting other things other than what you have, right? Whether what's been given to you or what's been given to someone else has been given to them by the Creator in some fashion or another. We're not supposed to covet against God's will, Jehovah's will. Sorry for the G word. I know some of you guys get offended. But anyway, the first thing listed, interesting enough, is not to covet someone's house. So why? That's because this is a place where the Torah is preserved for his family and those in his house. So this is a place where, he's going to study Torah. He's going to learn how to live a much better life. He's going to live closer and closer to God daily, or Jehovah, sorry guys. And all of his heart desire starts here in the home, right? So you got someone coveting against it. Now you got someone entrenching themselves to take what's yours, right? This is evil. This is also, the home is also a platform to plan and achieve in life. A man is strengthened to fulfill all of the commandments in his house. When he has a solid place to be, he has a platform, a standing place. And to have someone trying to war against you or desire that against you is an evil. The second thing listed, this is really interesting too. The second thing listed is his wife. Okay? Not to covet someone's wife. To desire someone else's wife is a form of adultery. Yet it's not included directly in this commandment, literally, but this is where it starts. Therefore, to look upon a man's wife, which you would also include not just the one where they've done the ceremony, they have their wife, they have their marriage, but also include the betrothed. If you covet these with lust or covetousness, it holds the same penalty. Okay? And all of these commandments right here actually hold the penalty of death. Okay? So, and let me back that up a little bit. Just as the bride of Christ is betrothed to him for the marriage feast, so is a man's fiance considered in this commandment. So, the wife, in those terms of that culture and the way this is written and what I see in the Torah, that's true to the word of that. Okay, that's the second tablet. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please subscribe to the Shalom Peace, one word, the Shalom Peace, on YouTube to receive updates. And we'll see you guys soon. Chazak, the Hinnis Chazak.